The Grand Seiko brand occupies a really strange place within the watch community mindset. A brand with a good reputation for making high quality watches that is both simultaneously propped up by that brand and in a sense held back by it as well. Now everything has a unique ownership experience, from your kettle to your car, and of course a Grand Seiko watch is no different. Today I'm going to peel all of that back. I've been a Grand Seiko owner for over 5 years and I'm going to talk to you about what the reality of living with and owning a Grand Seiko watch is actually like, so you can decide whether or not it's something you want to go ahead with and purchase in the future. So my Grand Seiko is the Grand Seiko Snowflake, and it lives in this watch roll. Actually, it's interesting, this watch roll was sent into the channel by Mozsley, and the reason why I was willing to accept it was because I like to keep my watch enthusiasm as independent as possible, and they'd said to me, well, you can say as much or as little about the watch roll as you like, so it doesn't even have to be nice. But on the bright side, I can say pretty decent quality, fairly what you'd expect actually, sort of leatherette. I think it's real leather, stitching seems good, nice suede interior, 3 independently removable watch cushions, Mozsley branding on the top there. But the watch we're talking about today is the Snowflake. I mean, if you are in the market for a watch roll, I have to say I've been pleasantly surprised by this, so do please go and check it out. But of course, that's not what this video is about, is it? So before we talk about boring things like the prices of the watches, depreciation on the watches, resale, all that sort of stuff, I want to get into what they actually feel like to wear on the wrist. Now, first thing you'll have noticed is the Grand Seiko I own is the SGBA 211, I think it is, the Snowflake. Now the Snowflake is really sort of the one-time darling of the Grand Seiko collection. It's probably safe to say that there are other watches in the collection now which have maybe slightly trumped it, whether it's a Shanbun, the White Birch, etc, etc, etc. Now a few things will have not failed to escape your notice. The first thing is the Snowflake comes on a titanium bracelet, which actually is very good quality, it's very comfortable, it's quite sort of body temperature neutral, so it's not too sweaty or anything like that. The problem I had with it, of course, and I think a lot of Grand Seiko owners will understand this, is actually the bracelet has no micro adjust, there's no micro adjust in the clasp to speak of, so you don't have any real fine tuning to get the perfect size. And for me, I could get the watch to fit really, really great in the winter, but in the summertime, wrist swells up a little bit and I just couldn't get that perfect fit. The second thing that's really real in the ownership experience for Grand Seiko is the Zaratsu polishing. Now people make a big noise about the Zaratsu polishing, and actually it's just a lapping technique. Other brands do this as well, although admittedly at a slightly higher price point. One thing I was really worried about was this watch I imagined being a sort of sports dressy style watch. And the truth of the matter is that the polishing in the titanium, yes, it is slightly softer than steel, but it's still a very, very hard metal. And actually, I've worn this watch a great deal, and what's really surprised me, as I'm sure you can see from some of the footage on screen now, is actually the watch head has aged really, really, really nicely. And that's one of the things that's surprising about it. If you're worried about the titanium, don't be. Oh, by the way, while you're here, if you would be so kind as just to hit that like button, it actually helps the channel more than you can actually possibly know. Tiny channel like this, every like really helps, you know. It's 1 second to you, big difference to a little channel like this one, and it keeps me motivated to make more watch content, which ultimately is what we all want, isn't it? Now, for me, I find talk about value actually quite distasteful, because what does it even really mean? I don't see any direct correlation between the price of a watch, the value of a watch, and the level of enjoyment you extract from it. So for me, it's entirely about enjoyment. So it's quite difficult for me to answer the value question, but I will extrapolate it a little bit like this. No watch in this price point is good value. You just got to get that out of your head. You've got an atomic clock in your pocket on your smartphone. You can pick up a quartz G-Shock for £100. You know, that's good value. There is some value in having a watch that is not going to be something you're going to see every day. It does feel a little bit more special in the fact that it's a little bit more exclusive than something like, say, a Rolex Submariner. So in that sense, you can sort of save money on the Submariner while still extracting a type of enjoyment from it that you might not get from the Submariner. But in that sense, you could say that's good value. But really, if I'm honest, if you're looking for a value proposition, you're looking in the wrong place. Pricing. Now, this is admittedly where it gets a little bit more complex. And I think you need to ask yourself a couple of questions before you decide whether the value, there goes using that word again, whether the price is right for you. And I think it can be boiled down to the following two things. One, do you plan to sell the watch on at some stage in the future? And two, is it really important how much as a percentage you get back from the watch on resale? Now, firstly, a Grand Seiko watch is going to depreciate more than something like a Rolex, but you're not going to lose all of your money. So the question you have to ask yourself is, am I buying this watch to keep and wear for many, many, many years? Probably never going to sell, in which case don't worry about it, go out, buy it at retail, you're going to have a great time, you're not going to regret the purchase. If you are planning on reselling it though, and you're particularly concerned about depreciation, then look, there are plenty of Grand Seikos out there on the secondary market, so just shop there. It doesn't mean you shouldn't buy a Grand Seiko, it just means be honest with yourself. What kind of collector are you? Are you a buyer and a keeper, in which case you've got no worries? Are you a buyer and a seller to get through lots and lots and lots of watches to extract as much enjoyment from the hobby as you possibly can, and that comes through quantity and volume, in which case you're going to want to go secondary. Community. The Grand Seiko community, it's fair to say, is one of the most vocal watch communities out there, and in the main it's a pretty friendly sort of space, to be totally honest with you. I don't think the Grand Seiko wearer particularly is someone who is all about diamonds and, you know, gold and flashy cars. You know, it tends to attract a buyer of a certain mentality, and that's absolutely fine, you know. But in the main, the collector community is actually pretty good. You know, there are plenty of forums that talk about Grand Seikos, there are plenty of people willing to offer advice, who are willing to recommend particular models, perhaps more unusual models, not just the lazy, obvious ones. There are plenty of people out there who care about the brand and are invested in the brand. And, you know, I've held many Grand Seikos. I've been to a few Grand Seiko events at the boutique where I bought this from. And I have to say, the passion that radiates from the brand and from the brand collector community is actually really quite nice. And it's something that I don't think is unique to Grand Seiko. Other brands have it as well. But it does have an engaged collector community behind it. And that's something that if you want to engage with, is a, you know, a perk, a benefit, a reality, an option of ownership, and it's something to give some thought to. In summary, you know, you're not buying the perfect watch, there is no such thing, but you are buying a high quality product that is very, very comfortable and very easy to live with. Try them on, don't just write them off, they're very, very good. If you're worried about depreciation, buy them used, it's not difficult. There are plenty of people who want to sell you a watch in this world. You won't find it hard to get one at a decent price. Anyway, look, I'm going to stop going on about this. This has been Walking with Watches. This has been Grand Seiko. If you have enjoyed the video, do feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all the things the algorithm loves. This is a tiny channel, and honestly, every comment, every like, it really, really does help. It's 1 second to you, big help to the channel. So listen, you guys are the best. Take care, God bless, peace out, and enjoy another week of this wonderful hobby that we call watches. Right, see you later. All the best. Cheers.